Apparently, I need a new crystal ball. Back in November, I predicted this about 2023. My prediction for 2023 is that we're going to see more of the same in New Braunfels. We're going to continue to see home values increase in New Braunfels, smaller gains like we saw in 2022. I think gone are the days where we're used to seeing 20, 25, even close to 30% home value increases year over year. Get used to seeing in 2023 those gains being in the teens to high single digits. I was half right. Not only have we gone down into the single digits in median home price gains year over year, but now we're going backwards, guys, in New Braunfels housing market for the second consecutive month. We're now in the negative. And since 2021, since our peak in 2021, our median home price has plunged nearly 38%. Now, does this mean all hope is lost if you plan on buying or selling in New Braunfels in 2023? We're going to get deep into that today so you can make a more informative decision. If you guys are new here to my channel, thank you so much for hopping aboard, because every week we're trying to put out relevant content just like this about what it's like to live in New Braunfels. After years of home price increases in New Braunfels, we are now officially on a losing streak. For the second consecutive month, the New Braunfels housing market is in the negative, with our median home price down again. We're at $342 right now. That's down 8.5% from this time last year, and that's down $7,000 from last month's median home price, and down almost $60,000 from our highest ever median home price in New Braunfels of almost $400,000 in December. Now we're at $342. What's especially troubling is that homes keep piling up on the market. Our inventory is up from last month and way up from this time last year. So is all of this temporary, or will it actually pick up again in the housing market in New Braunfels? Let's get to that right now and start by reading the T cards. The latest Consumer Price Index report shows that inflation continues to cool off for the 10th consecutive month. We're just under 5% inflation, and that's down from 8.25% last year. So we're headed in the right direction, and we should continue to head and move into the right direction, because the Fed has repeatedly said that it's not taking its foot off the pedal anytime soon. It's determined to drive inflation all the way down to 2%. And at the pace we're on right now, as far as inflation cooling off, we should be at that 2% by this time next year, or at the very earliest during the first quarter of 2024. So what does this mean for mortgage rates, your ability to buy, to invest, or to sell your house and to purchase another house? Well, rates continue to straddle between 6 and 7%, but if inflation continues to cool off, we should be closer to 6% consistently the rest of the year, or we may even, if inflation continues to cool, touch the 5s and mid-5s by the fourth quarter of this year. But you see, it's like a soap opera, this housing market in New Braunfels. For every pro, you have a con. Here is another T card. Credit card debt nationally is at an all-time high, and that does impact your ability to get a mortgage, especially if your credit card payments are so high that your debt to income ratio is much higher than what your lender will allow. Here's another T card. Auto delinquencies are still up, and that is the number of people falling behind on their car loans. So let's take all of these ingredients and put them in one big bowl right now. Inflation cooling off slowly. Mortgage rates still hovering between 6 and 7%. Auto delinquencies are up. Credit card balances are up, which is why we are seeing this. Homes continuing to pile up on the market in New Braunfels without buyers, and home prices then continuing to soften. Buyers just have less purchasing power than they did the last few years. And for that reason, I strongly believe that home prices in New Braunfels will continue to soften through at least the third quarter of this year. All right, so let's talk about what all this means if you plan on buying, investing, or selling your house in New Braunfels this year. Sellers, you're up first, so let's go. Make sure if you're selling your house this year in New Braunfels, you get it right from the start. Make sure your house is priced accurately right out of the gate. We're seeing a ton of home price decreases these days in New Braunfels. Price your home at or below market value, because what that will do is put you in position to receive multiple offers. Yes, that's still a thing here in New Braunfels on homes that are priced aggressively from the start. You may say, Rod, I understand the comps, but hey, just to start, maybe the first week or 10 days, let's just price it higher. No, this isn't 2021. I'm not Mr. Work or Tattoo. This isn't Fantasy Island. You know what's going to happen if you price your home higher? It's going to sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. You know why? All of those buyers who would have possibly made you an offer, or at least shown a lot of interest, if it was priced aggressively from the start, are now gone. They're gone to other homes. They're bye-bye. They're not coming back. So guys, make sure if you're selling your house in New Braunfels, price it accurately from the start. Also, if you plan on selling a New Braunfels this year, consider the mortgage rate, because likely it's going to be higher than the rate you're in right now with your current house. Also, if you plan on selling your house in New Braunfels in 2023, take a deep breath. Your house is on the market, listed, it's priced accurately from the start. You're looking at your watch, 7 minutes go by, 7 days go by, and you want to call your agent and say, hey, you know what? My house isn't sold yet. What's going on here? Guys, remember, buyers still have more options these days. Inventory is up in New Braunfels, right? And the homes, even when priced accurately, are taking longer to sell in 2023 compared to 2022 by over 30 days. Your house is on the market, but it's not moving. You're not getting the results that you need, and you decide, maybe I should take my home off the market right now and relist it at some other time. You're not alone. Sellers in New Braunfels are doing just that, which is why we're seeing active listings in New Braunfels down almost 40% from April to May. Buyers, you're up next, so let's talk. If you're an end-use buyer, which means the next house you purchase is your primary, is your homestead, what we're seeing right now, buyers with all cash or mostly cash, maybe they're selling their current house and pouring all those proceeds, or most of them anyway, into the new house. Those are the folks, those are the buyers who have the most leverage, because at that point, when you have mostly cash or all cash, mortgage rates become non-existent. But if you're a buyer without a chunk of money to put down, you want to buy a house, basically at that point, you're buying a monthly payment. And we know monthly payments are higher this year than they were last year by hundreds of dollars in many cases, because mortgage rates are higher. So at that point, we're just buying a monthly payment, and that may not be in your best interest right now. But here comes your knight in shining armor in New Braunfels. If you're a buyer or an investor, this is your saving grace in New Braunfels. New construction, such a big part of the New Braunfels housing market since 2010, more pronounced the last few years since our population spike here. Builders, remember guys, they continue to build in New Braunfels. They're not stopping, even though things have stopped somewhat significantly in the housing market in New Braunfels the last 10 months. Builders continue to build, which means those homes are sitting, which means that builders are now turning around and saying, please buy our homes. Not only that, but they're giving you incentives and discounts to buy their homes. Incentives you can use toward buying down your mortgage rate or taking care of closing costs. Or in this case, for our clients, you can use that incentive and knock it off the price of the home. I think home prices in New Braunfels have more room to drop the rest of the year. Of course, unless the Fed decides to wake up tomorrow and say, hey, look, let's go back into the 2s and the 3s. That's not happening. That's why it's a good time. If you're a buyer or if you're an investor, especially with new construction homes, guys, remember all those incentives. And if you're a seller, as long as you do it the right way and out of the gate, price it accurately, all three, you guys, buyers, investors, and sellers, as long as you know what's going on the ground in New Braunfels, and hopefully this video did that for you today. So if you're thinking about now making the move to New Braunfels or making the move out of New Braunfels, either way, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can email me, you can call me, or you can shoot me a text. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching our videos, and we'll see you on the next one.